Good morning. Happy Thursday. It's almost Friday. Friday. Anyway, I couldn't be happier. I mean, I could if it was Friday. But anyway, so I went out to walk Pennifer last night. Well, it was about 8 o'clock. We didn't go for a big long walk. We were just walking down the street. When we get down to the street, the lady across the street, the girl's mom, came out and talked to me. She was walking out to her car. So she just came onto the street to talk to me. Anyway. Oh, hold on. So, anyway. She comes out to talk to me. And she starts talking about coyotes. And she said, I know for a fact that a coyote got Dixie. And I thought, well, I thought we already knew that. But I think so too, because there was a trail of feathers across 3 yards. I don't think a hawk or an owl would leave so many piles of feathers. It was like a big pile of feathers in their yard, a pile of feathers through my yard, and through Joan's yard, like they were running with her, right? I know, which is totally disgusting and graphic, and I'm sorry, but that's just the way it was. So she said, I know where the coyotes live. And I thought, well, yeah, me too. She said, they live up here on this road in these woods. And I was like, oh, well, I thought they lived over behind the shopping center. And she said, well, they may travel over there. She said, but I see them going back and forth across that road next to this storage center over to the other side. And I was like, oh, okay. But all those woods connect. So I guess they could travel through all those woods. Well, anyway, I said, are y'all going to get another chicken? And she said, no. She said, my parents have chickens and I could get one from them. She said, but the girls were so devastated over Dixie that I don't really want to do that again. And she said, Dixie was the best chicken ever. She said, those girls could pick her up and hold her. I said, well, I know for a fact I was feeding her. And Sue told me that her next door neighbor is her sister, and her sister was feeding her. And I said, the girls told me how many eggs she was putting out. She said, girl, we couldn't keep up with all them eggs. And I said, well, probably because she was eating so good, you know. And we weren't feeding her crap. We were feeding her fruit, and I bought some really good chicken feed for her. I mean, it wasn't just cracked corn. It was lentils and sunflower seeds, and anyway, it was good stuff. So, long story short, that conversation made me start thinking about pepper spray. Dun, dun, dun. So I used to carry pepper spray, and I need to get me some more. But the reason I carried the pepper spray was because I would walk Charlie around the block, and on the opposite side of my block, these people had a yellow lab. This dog came at Charlie so many times. He had his hackles up on his back. I mean, he was growling, snarling, all this stuff at Charlie, right? And it really didn't do me any good to pick him up because I'm so short, and a lab is so, you know, when they stand up, they're so tall. Anyway, so I pepper sprayed the dog, and he took off running back home. Now, it doesn't hurt the animal. It just makes their eyes and their nose water. Now, the funny part is, at the end of the day, when mom and dad start petting the dog, they would get it on their hands, and if they touched their face, they wouldn't know what was going on. Well, anyway, that happened to me, so I know it's true. So this one day, I sprayed this dog. Now, he got to the point where I could even hold up my hand and he would take off running. So he got to the point where he knew that I was going to spray him. So I didn't have to spray him anymore because he knew, she's not playing. So when oh my goodness, these little old ladies out cutting the grass in her moo-moo. She had on a pink moo-moo and black socks and black tennis shoes, and she was all bent over, bless her heart. Anyway, so this one day, I sprayed the dog because he's coming at us again and again and again. I sprayed the dog. A puff of wind comes, and it blows that pepper spray right back on us, me and Charlie. Now, it didn't hurt Charlie's eyes or nose. It didn't affect him like that. But what it did do was get on his fur. He didn't act any different. I, on the other hand, could hardly see to walk home. So I'm walking home with my eyes barely open like this, and water from every orifice is just pouring all over my face. I cannot see nothing. I mean, I'm basically, Charlie is leading me home because I could hardly keep my eyes open. Because the more you open your eyes, the more it burns. Now, saying that, when a deputy goes through training, he has to get sprayed in the face with pepper spray, and then he would go through this house with all this pepper spray on him to find someone, like the bad guy that he was going to arrest or whatever. And they did that so that the deputy would know what it feels like, what to do. You know, they wouldn't panic if the pepper spray came back on them, or if the person that they were going after pepper sprayed them. I mean, you know, stranger things have happened. That's what I felt like. I felt like I had been sprayed in the face with pepper spray, and I was the one going through the house trying to find the bad guy, except I was just trying to walk home. So I finally get home, and I wash my face off, and you have to flush your eyes out with water, and all is well, right? Wash my hands, wash my arms, change my shirt, all is good. Except when I went to pet Charlie, and then I touched my face again, I realized it was on Charlie's fur. So then I had to give Charlie a bath. Yeah, that was an experience, let me tell you. Well, moving on to the next story. I'm in the warrant office at this time, and one of the deputies sits down in my chair. He's trying to look something up, and I was standing behind him talking to him. I think I must have gotten up to go do something, and he grabbed my chair, right? He was like, well, I'll just use her computer. So when I came back, I just stood behind him until he was done. He was like 6'4", so we were about the same height, him sitting and me standing. Well, anyway, he typing, he's looking something up. I'm standing there talking, when all of a sudden, I'm trying to talk, but I can't. It's like, what is going on that I can't talk? It like catches your breath, right? So I'm trying to talk, and I'm like, and he was like, what is it? And then he jumps up and he yells out an expletive, oh, and he takes off running out of the room. And I'm like, what? So he finally does his thing, and he comes walking back in there. He said, you ain't gonna believe this. I said, what? He said, I guess when I sat down, his pepper spray can bent. It bent. So all that pepper spray was leaking out. He said it was all over his undershirt, on the inside of his bulletproof vest, and it was all over his uniform shirt. So he had to rinse out his t-shirt and rinse himself off and wipe out his vest, and then he tried to dry his t-shirt under the hand dryer. He couldn't get it all the way dry, so he had to put a wet t-shirt back on, and then his vest, and then his shirt, and work that way the rest of the day. Yeah, so that was lovely. Okay, next story. So I was training in Central Control. Central Control was this room where these two ladies sat, and it's a bunch of screens, and each building pretty much has its own screen. So they ring a buzzer when they go to a door, and then you have to go to that building and then tap the button for whatever door they were at, right? So you're constantly doing this and, you know, tapping, and all day long you're doing like this, because there's a lot of movement in a jail. So anyway, I'm standing in there, I'm behind my trainee, and I'm, you know, talking to her, telling her, hit this, hit this, hit this, hit this. And all of a sudden it hits me. I can't talk, right? And then these two ladies, well, three ladies, including my trainee, they're all like, oh my gosh, what? You know, and we're just in there having a fit. Well, across the hall from Central, it used to be the intake area. And there's, I don't know, 10, 12 cells in there. Well, they built on a new building. So that new building had an intake area. So this one was turned into mental health infirmary. So that's where all our mental health, not all, but the people who needed, I guess, medical care or couldn't be in this pod. Anyway, that's where they were. And this particular inmate, he fancied himself as a monkey in the zoo because he liked to fling his poo. Yeah, you know how they talk about monkeys at zoos flinging their poo? Yeah, he did that onto deputies or nurses or whomever else was around. And he would also urinate into a cup and throw it. Yes, It's lovely working in a jail sometimes. It's lovely. Well, he did this, and a female deputy was in there, and she started spraying him with pepper spray. And sometimes pepper spray doesn't affect people at all. At all. I worked for a woman named Denise. She was my lieutenant at one point, and pepper spray didn't bother her at all. Not at all. Well, apparently this inmate was like that, because when I tell you that deputy unloaded her can of pepper spray on him, she had called for help and was waiting on help to get there, and she just kept spraying. Well, what we didn't know was the same vent that fed into Central fed into that old intake area, the infirmary, and vice versa. Their vent came into our area, except we were in a room that was, I don't know how big it is in there. Gonna guess 20 by 20, might be a little bit bigger, but we can't leave. You can't leave Central, no, because you're the only one that can open all the doors. Yeah, so it has to be occupied at all times. Yeah, so we were stuck in there with all this pepper spray. It was lovely. It's quite lovely. Anyway, that's my pepper spray stories. But talking to the girl's mom and her telling me that she's seeing these coyotes on this road going back and forth. And then I talked to Sue the other day, and her backyard is those, you know, backs up to those woods. And she's got well, they got cameras all around their house, but she's got cameras that she can see into that backyard wooded area. And she said she sees them going back and forth all the time. And she said there's a really big one, which I guess would be the male. I don't know, but anyway. So I'm going to get me some more pepper spray. My dad told me to get a water pew-pew and fill it with household ammonia because it'll shoot further, which is fine, but I don't know, how do you carry something like that? I mean, I have a waist holster for my actual pew-pew, but I don't think they make those for water pew-pews. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, and then someone else told me to carry a can of wasp spray, but that's kind of cumbersome. Cumbersome? I don't know how to say that word because my dad always says it wrong. Cumbersome. Cumbersome? I think my dad says cumbersome, so I think it's cumbersome. Anyway, whatever. Y'all know what I mean. It's kind of cumbersome because I don't know where to carry it either. I mean, I have my phone, duh, and my leash, duh, and a large can of wasp spray, and then I'm gonna have to like, I mean, my phone's not an issue because I got a pocket to put it in. So then I whip out my can of wasp spray and then fight to get the top off because I'm not carrying it without a top on. You see what I'm saying? That seems a little too much. But anyway, it's now 1 minute till 8, so I'm going to work. But I'll talk to y'all later. All right, here we are at the end of the day. It feels like 100 degrees outside, and I know it's hotter in other places, but I'm just saying, that's what it is here. I think it said 94 feels like 100, or 93 and feels like 100. Doesn't really matter at this point, but we're under severe thunderstorm risk or something in the greater Atlanta area. Yes, I am in the greater metro Atlanta area. That is me. So we're under a level 2 out of 5 severe thunderstorm warning. I wish it would rain. I sure do. I don't even remember the last time we had rain. You know, we were getting it like every day, all the time. And then now it's been weeks since we've had rain. So we sure could use some. However, it's raining like all around us. Why isn't it coming here? That's so rude. Anyway, it's been a great and wonderful day at my little job that I went to. And now we're at home. Penny's walk, that's my knee, just in case you're wondering, because that might have been a weird look. We went for a walk all the way to the front yard, and she did her business and turned around and came back up the driveway. She was like, I'm done. I said, good, because that's all we were doing anyway, because someone is a little bit spoiled. I'm not going to say who it is, but someone is a little spoiled, and someone will not use the potty in the backyard unless I walk out there and walk around with her. And to be quite honest, it was too hot and I was still in my work clothes. So she went out there and she laid on the patio, but she would not go out in the grass. I don't think she likes the grass in the backyard because it's a little too tall for her. The grass in the backyard is different than the grass in the front yard. I don't know. It's just tall. And I mean, it's not tall, it was just cut last week, but you know what I'm saying, it's a different grass. Anyway, I'm making excuses for her, but anyway, I walked her in the front yard and she went right away. But in her defense, every day when I got home from work, I would take them for a walk. So it's kind of what she knows. Because she will go back there, like at night before we go to bed. She will go back there and use the bathroom, but not at 4 o'clock or 3:30 or whatever time I get home. I don't even know what time I get off anymore. Anyway, no, I can't use the backyard, Mommy. Not at this time of day. I have to go for a walk, even if it's just to the front yard and back in. Anyway. Well, I guess that's going to be it for this video. So if y'all have any ideas of what I can carry besides my pew-pew, my pew-pew is one that the person needs to be close, or the coyote would need to be close. If you know anything about pew-pews, you'll understand that statement. But I don't want to carry a whole entire 12 gauge with me, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, all right, that's it. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Remember that I love you. Jesus loves you. I hope he's coming back soon because people be crazy. The world's gone mad and we're going to have a storm. Yeah. My back's telling me that the storm is near. So it better storm after all this. So, all right, that's it. I'll talk to you later. Love you, mean it. Goodbye.